10:30, so if we can make a start. Acceptance of apologies, looking around the room, we all appear to be here, at least physically. Minutes of... I thought it was quite funny. Minutes of the meeting of the Cabinet on the 23rd of January, are they correct? Take silence as agreement.
Yep.
Chair's announcements, there is one announcement. We've got an agenda item which is number 9, which relates to Pugness Country Park and a new operating model. So what I propose to do is actually to take agenda item 9 as the first key decision, because we've got somebody here, Tom Butterworth, who I've just briefly spoken to before the meeting. Although this isn't a public meeting where members of the public can speak or indeed ask questions, we try and do that in a different way, away from the formality of the council. I know this has attracted some publicity, and if somebody's come along, and Tom has, and I've agreed that he will say a few words, and he's promised me faithfully he won't exceed the 5 minutes that we mentioned. That's what he told me. He said he didn't think he'd need that much time. So what I propose to do is to ask Jackie to introduce it first, as a cabinet member, and then ask Tom to say a few words, and then I'll throw it open to other members who want to comment or ask questions before we come to a view. And that means, Tom, that you don't have to sit through the other items we've got on the agenda, if that's okay. Okay, so... that's Chair's announcements. Urgent items, there aren't any. And just to remind everybody on agenda item 5 to declare an interest both verbally and in writing, please. So let's move straight on to agenda item 9 as the first substantive item. And Jackie, if you want to do it.
Despite advertising locally and using specialist channels that have been recommended to inspire the Marketing Association. And failure to recruit means that it places at risk of with regard to safety, and also sometimes we might have to close facilities if we don't have the staff to function. We've also tried to develop a partnership with the Royal Yachting Association and with a charity based in the south of England, but they've not worked out. During the summer season, when we operate 7 days a week, staff must be employed for those full 7 days, whether or not anyone turns up to use water sports. And even if sometimes the weather is so bad that people can't use the lake. So we have to start continuously. And it is for a relatively small number of users of this service. Consequently, it means we're actually subsidising the water sports for quite a significant amount, and that isn't sustainable in the budget cuts and savings that we have to make. However, I do want to emphasise, although we're talking in the first part about suspending provision, we are also on a positive note we want to work with people, we want to explore ways of seeing the water activity continue. So hiring out the water in much the same way that we hire out other facilities is a possibility. So if I can explain that, in our swimming pools, we teach children to a certain age, and then we move on to clubs. We hire water space to clubs, and then they get the lessons using their own lifeguards, and that's the sort of model that we look at exploring with users. And there is a possibility that can be done. So we're prepared to work with members and parents to support them, to get them into a position where they could step into this role. It can be informing a more formal type of club, but we have to help them in training and guidance, advice, even equipment. We have the people that use the water sports equipment that are very passionate about the sport. We've had so many people from there that have gone on and competed nationally, I believe, internationally. So there is a value in this. But as I keep saying, it's a relatively small number of people who subsidy. So we do want to try and work with them. A number of people have indicated their concerns to us about the proposed suspension, and some have sort of implied that they would be willing to work with us and get involved. So if they have that commitment, then I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to continue supporting activity in much the same way as we do our other incentives. But it is going to require some commitment.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Tom.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Butterworth. I'm here representing a number of interests, but also thank you as an employee of the Marine Society and Sea Cadets, which is the parent charity of the Sea Cadets, as you might know it in Wakefield. Now, as a local resident, I grew up sailing at Pugneys, and also...
You're probably better using that.
I prefer that. Thank you. As a local resident, I grew up learning to sail at Pugneys and had the privilege of joining Wakefield Sea Cadets as a youngster, which opened the door to large elements of my career, teaching sailing all over the world after I qualified as an instructor, and later going into the teaching profession, from which I'm currently having a break, hence working as an employee for the Marine Society and Sea Cadets, covering the northern sector of our eastern region, which happens to include Yorkshire and Humberside, which is one of the reasons I'm here today. Yeah, I'm here as a local resident, also representing Wakefield Sea Cadets, possibly as a customer group for Pugneys Country Park. And the Marine Society and Sea Cadets is expanding at the moment and potentially investing in sailing centres, activity centres, delivering that service not just to members of the organisation, but if I could give you an example, in London, in the Docklands in London, there's a Sea Cadet run sailing centre contracted out to the local authority to deliver an activity programme to local schools groups. So we're looking at lots of different delivery models. And so we had a meeting with Phil Gibson, Assistant Manager for Leisure Services, I think, a few weeks ago, just as a general conversation, looking at different options, for example, as a customer group, but also potentially as a delivery partner. And there was a short note submitted by myself to Phil Gibson as a result of that meeting, but he did acknowledge that this meeting was going to take place in the foreseeable future, hence my attendance today. So within the Sea Cadets, we have a network of qualified staff, adult volunteers, and also the young people who would come and use the facility, and also a number of employees, such as myself, trained up in various activities. And as I said, we're expanding in other areas of the country, and I did want to register that interest to yourselves. Whatever the future of the centre, it's something that the Sea Cadets would like to get on board with and like to have that conversation. A few years ago, we did take our boat work elsewhere for various reasons, I think to do with previous management at Pugneys. But the meeting we had with Phil Gibson a few weeks ago was with a view to returning. So we, as an organisation, would certainly be disappointed if water sport activity was suspended, and we could potentially help add value to the delivery of that in the future. And that probably sums up my interest in being here today.
Thanks very much indeed, Tom.
Thanks.
I'll ask Jackie if she wants to respond to that, and I say, well, ask other members if they want to comment. Jackie.
I think we'd love to speak to you actually, because we want to explore things, and that's just an option. Another one we've got to have some sort of community interest. So there are some ideas on the table, because we are seeing some issues that continue to fall over. So I'd love to arrange with details. I'll get Liz Blenkinsop, who's the service manager, to meet with you and see what we can do.
I may just say, I thought the comment you made was actually very helpful in the sense that you talked about different models that are available across the country. So, you know, I guess that's what we're trying to do, is look at alternative models, but we're more than happy to work with you. More than happy to work with you. Right, Maureen.
Yeah, I think thank you for coming today, because I think the Pugneys water sport facility is the only one in the district, and I think it's with great reluctance that we've got the paper before us today. I do know that probably 12 months ago we tried this exercise to try and find someone to actually come forward to actually help with the running and obviously the running costs of that facility. I think in 6.2 where it says we want to suspend it whilst working with someone actually gives us that leeway to actually continue and then explore the options with yourself. I mean, we did it with the libraries. We did it in 2012 with the libraries when we had the 12 libraries that we were going to close. It was a similar option and I think the fortunate thing that came out of that, I think we only lost 2 of the libraries because community groups like yourself came forward and actually said, yeah, we want to work with you, we want to keep this facility open for lots of reasons, health reasons, well-being reasons, people being out there, young people learning things. So, I mean, I would certainly support the option that the council work with yourself and your group to actually see what can be done down there to actually keep the facility open.
Please.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Maureen, and that side. It's a shame, but we really do have to look. The way forward is not only to encourage, but to work with different groups, because that's the way that councils are operating at this particular time. We have to look at the groups that we're working with. We can't just say, yeah, let's let the water space out, because obviously, as you know, safety, there's all that side of it. But I'm confident because if you take gymnastics, we've got international gymnasts that are coming out of France Spa. That's a part of the organisation that we run in partnership to help support it, but they actually run it and they run it very successfully. And I think that's the model, that's the sort of model that we're looking at. And I welcome the fact that we're not just closing it off. What we're saying is we're suspending it.
Yeah.
Then we want to talk to groups like yourself. And I welcome what we're saying and other groups to actually help and support them to better things. And under 5.4, I think it actually says that the Royal Military Association's opinion is that we actually do this because they look throughout the country at methods and ways of operation, and they're saying that the way of operating is to go with groups and different organisations. So I think they're the experts. We've had success in working with other groups, and I'm sure that the activities there will certainly talk to your group as well. So I welcome this report because I think this makes it sustainable. I think without doing this, I think if we're looking at it again in 12 months' time, we might have to do something that we don't really want to do.
Yeah, a lot's been said what was always going through my mind, but when you look at the past 8 years of how the amount of cuts as a council we've had to take, we've also had a good proven track record of making sure when we've had to lose facilities, we make sure the facilities are kept open one way or another. And I look in my own ward, it was a proposal to close the community centre down, and it wasn't that well used. I was there the other night, you can't get in it. Group's taking it over now, it's absolutely rammed. So I'm confident we'll make sure something happens at Pugneys with water sport, because we've got a good proven track record what we've done last 8 years, and it's thank you to people like yourselves who are coming forward, the third sector and community groups, and making sure these facilities carry on.
Okay. Are we all finished? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much indeed for coming along, Tom. And can we agree the recommendation?
Agreed.
Subject to the conversations taking place, as we've said. Okay, thank you, colleagues. Agenda items 6 and 7, I shall move formally. They will be the subject of debate at Council a fortnight tomorrow, the Council budget meeting. We just move these formally at this stage. That can be agreed. Thank you for that. Agenda item 8, developing the Landlord's Energy Savers Loan. Denise.
Yes, this is another piece of work that really links itself in with our poverty agenda. We can't do everything as a council. We can't put the will to rights in poverty, but we do have strands now that are working through the poverty agenda, and this is to extend the eligibility of people who can actually apply for the loans under the criteria. It's an interest-free loan which helps with the heating in people's homes. in the private rented sector. And we have some fabulous examples just recently of how it's made a difference to a lady that I was working with in Castleford, how she was sitting there on a night with blankets and gloves in her house, and now she's had one of these loans. She can't believe the warmth, sit in a kitchen, sit in and go to bed without the fear of being absolutely frozen, and it has made a real difference. So I'm recommending that we do increase the eligibility of this and move it forward, because it is a great scheme and it's making a difference across our wards.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Maureen?
Yeah, I welcome this. We've had the energy efficient team are absolutely fantastic. They come quite regularly to our Food Aid Network meetings, which are very, very well attended, and they've been out and visited the Food Aid Network people when they've been giving the parcels out, and they actively promoting energy efficiency and helping people with loans and with other things as well. So, I mean, they're a really energetic team, and I actually I welcome this, particularly for those people who are suffering poverty in our district at the moment.
Jackie?
Just similarly, really, I want to say I do think we all know that poverty is something which is increasing across our district. We see it through food banks and the agencies that are having demands placed upon them. So I think anything that we can do to help alleviate that, no matter how small, is obviously welcome.
Olivia?
At our last cabinet meeting, we had a paper about quality of rental accommodation. I think that this report indicates that there's just no excuse for landlords to actually have old houses and tenants within them. And I really do think that our officers, when they're out actually harassing I sincerely hope they are harassing poor landlords, that in fact they will actually be introduced to this scheme, and that the tenants will actually get somewhere that's warm and comfortable. Some of the accommodation leaves so much to be desired, and landlords have no excuse with this paper.
We agree the recommendation?
Yep.
Thank you. Agenda item 10 is month 9 of the financial health report, which shows there is a projected underspend of £32,000, which a quick calculation shows that this is a variation of 0.01%. Well, actually, Neil told me last week. But anyway, I thought it
sounds good.
It sounds good if you believe. I just looked at it. So there's a variation of 0.01%. And I have to say that I shall mention this at the budget meeting, but it shows that the council's finances are being well monitored. And, you know, by any stretch of the imagination, that is an amazing potential outturn that we've got. You know, 0.01% variation on our spend. You know, I'm not sure you could get much better than that. So, you know, record our thanks, my thanks to our officer colleagues for making sure we've got that financial stability. Any questions or comments? If not, can we agree to note that? Thank you. Les, you're the last item, the supplier early payment programme.
Yeah, I think item 4 says it all, supplier early payment programme can contribute to social value by improving cash flow of local businesses, etc. Local businesses, especially small and medium-sized companies, one of the issues is always cash flow. It's always getting the money in so they can pay their support. What this does is this aids them, but it also links it back to the council. So I'd certainly recommend this, and recommend 6.1 that the council adopt a supplier early payment programme.
Yeah, we see so many small businesses go to the wall because the bigger businesses are now saying 60 and 75 days in some cases where they're not going to pay any of the bills to the smaller suppliers. And we've seen far too often, particularly in your area, Denise, smaller businesses going to the wall because of it. They've done the job in goodwill, or they've provided the service, or they've provided the goods. And not us, but people are saying to them, yeah, well, you know, it's going to be 35 days and then it's increased to 40 and they just haven't the cash flow. So I absolutely welcome this. I think it's a really good initiative from the council, and I really hope that it sends a message out to other councils that they need to support particularly local business and small businesses, so I welcome it.
One of the things we need to do, and we shall be doing in the future, is looking at our procurement strategy anyway. I spoke to Julian about how we can make sure that there are even more local suppliers getting work from the council.
Yeah.
And if you've seen, but there's been some media coverage about the Preston model recently, and I've had a presentation on that. I'm arranging for, along with Merrin, for a joint presentation to Cabinet and CMT initially before we go public about how we can actually do much more in boosting the local economy by using more local firms. And I think there's a lot of scope for us. So this is a good idea. But I say let's kind of look at the next stage, which is using more local suppliers to get more work from us. Les.
That's a good point. I see this as the first step. You've only to see it's not only about small businesses. That's the issue for small businesses. You've only got to look at Career and how well they got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And any business who gets the cash loan, and some of the big businesses are always being pressured on. We're going to relieve that pressure by certainly paying a lot quicker than what we're doing now to our smaller organisations. But I take on board to what we said. I think this should be the start of looking at other initiatives through procurement and through certainly investment and some of the things that we can do. We can do everything, unfortunately. I think people will have to understand that. But what they should understand is that we will look at it and we will try and help and support not only businesses but certainly people in this community.
We agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you for that, Les. And that concludes our agenda. Colleagues, thank you.
Because you were thinking stuff, you said you heard a lot about when you said